So my story was drugs in prison. So I grew up in a home that was not good. Like both my parents were on drugs. My dad was in and out of prison. And growing up, 12 years old, I started smoking cigarettes. 14, I went to juvenile hall for a string of residential burglaries. At 16, my dad introduced me to meth. And at 18, I was on a bus to prison for the first time. At 28 years old, I had spent 9.5 years of my life in prison. I joined a gang. I used a needle to start putting meth in my arm, and all of that led me to a point at 28 years old where I decided to kill myself. And God radically stepped in and saved my life. But that's not where the story ends. That's actually where the story begins. Because yeah, I needed to get rid of the drugs and the alcohol, but that's where God started working in my life, because once the drugs and the alcohol were out of the story, now I'm dealing with a pornography addiction. And I didn't grow up in church. I didn't know it was wrong until God convicted my heart. And I start working through this pornography addiction. And when that's gone, I realize I'm a really angry person. I'm so frustrated with my kids. I'm mean to my wife, and God has to start working on that in my life. And as I'm working through the anger and God's delivering me from that, I realize that I'm not a good parent. I'm not a good husband. I had never seen that modeled when I was growing up. I didn't know how to love my children. I had never seen what it looked like to love your wife. And so God starts working on that in my life. And as he's working through that, up to today where I realize inappropriate jokes and cussing, that's what God's working on me today. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you edit that out? Can we bleep that? Okay. The point of the story is, me and a couple of my friends, we started this ministry, Convicts for Christ. And the whole point of God continuing to work on my story is every day, I want to be a little less convict and a little more Christ. So tomorrow I want to wake up and be more Christ than I was yesterday and less convict, because that's what it means for God to continue to work on my story.